Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing great. In today's video, we are going to learn how to move a player using character controller component in Unity. Now in previous movement methods, we used rigid body components and physics-based movement. But sometimes we don't want our player movement to depend on physics. Instead, we want direct and precise control over the character. That's where the character controller comes in. So let's see how we can implement it. First, let's create a new C# script. I will name it player movement and attach it to my player object. Now the first thing we need is a variable to control the player movement speed. So I am going to write this line. Public float speed is equal to 5f. The variable controls how fast our player moves. Increasing the value makes the player moves faster, while decreasing it makes the player move slower. Next, we need access to the character controller component because all of our movement will happen through it. Let's create a variable for that. Private character controller. This variable will store the character controller attached to our player object. At the moment this variable is empty, so we need to get the character controller component when the game starts. For that, inside the start function I am going to write this. Controller equal to get component character controller. What this line does is, it looks for the character controller attached to the same game object and stores it inside the controller variable. Now our script can access the character controller whenever we need it. Next we need to read the player's input. Since input should be checked every frame, we will use the update function. So let's create an update function. Inside update function, the first thing we need is the horizontal and vertical input values. So I am writing these two lines. Float horizontal equal to input.getAxis horizontal. Float vertical equal to input.getAxis vertical. The horizontal axis controls left and right movement, while the vertical axis controls forward and backward movement. These values will change depending on the keys the player presses. Now that we have the input values, we need to convert them into a movement direction. So I am creating a vector 3 like this. Vector 3 movement is equal to new vector 3 horizontal 0f comma vertical dot normalized. Let's understand this line. The x value represents horizontal movement. The y value represents vertical movement. But since we don't want the player moving up and down, we keep it at 0. The z value represents forward and backward movement. You will also notice the word normalized at the end. This is important because without normalization, diagonal movement would be faster than moving in a single direction. Normalization makes sure the player moves at the same speed in every direction. Now that we have our movement direction, the final step is to move the player. For that, I am writing this line. Controller.Move of movement into speed into time.deltaTime. Let's break it down. The movement vector tells us the direction. Speed controls how fast we move. Time.deltaTime makes the movement frame rate independent. And finally, the move function moves the character controller in that direction. Unlike rigid body movement, we are not applying forces or working with physics here. We are simply telling the character controller exactly where to move. At this point, our script is complete. Now go back to Unity and make sure your project object has a character controller component attached. Then attach the script to the same object, enter play mode and press the movement keys. You will see the player moving smoothly using the character controller. This type of movement is commonly used in the first-person games, third-person games and many character-based projects, where precise movement is more important than physics interactions. And that's the basic idea behind character controller movement in Unity. I hope this explanation helped you understand how this works. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.